Good morning, and welcome to MidKnight News.
I'm Lane.
And I'm Grayson. To begin with Student of the Week, we have a big shout out to 8th grader Emily Pena.
Emily Pena is a joy to have in class. She is always engaged in class discussions and activities. Emily is a critical thinker, always trying to connect class content in a deeper way. She works diligently and is always ready to help those around her. The best part of having Emily in class is that she does not take herself so seriously. Her unusual sense of humor tends to lighten the mood and bring a laugh, even if it is at her own expense. Another shout out to Mitch for Student of the Week. Here's what your teachers have to say about you.
Mitch is steady and consistent in all he does. Mitch is willing to help out and explain difficult concepts to his peers, even without a teacher's prompting. Mitch's positive attitude and hard-working ways are an inspiration to both his classmates and his teachers. Keep up the good work, Mitch. Lane, who are the athletes of the week?
Glad you asked. They are the girls basketball blue team, Walker Thompson, and the 8th grade boys basketball.
Here is what your coaches have to say about these basketball players.
The 7th grade girls team worked hard this season and showed tremendous improvement over the year. The coaching staff and parents are very proud of their efforts and how they finished the year off strong.
Shout out to Walker Thompson, who had a great end to the year. The defensive intangibles he gave towards the end of the season were fantastic.
Another shout out to the 8th grade boys basketball team, who competed in the Mugsby Boogs tournament this weekend and made it to the championship game.
Today for lunch is barbecue beef brisket with a side of macaroni and cheese, baked beans, and okra.
At the chef's table is fried chicken waffle. Now for the riddle of the week.
What has 18 legs and catches flies?
Now while you guys submit your responses, we have an announcement on Night Tank.
Have you wanted to change at our school but don't know how to make it happen? Well, we have the solve for you. Night Tank is back, and if you are interested, ask an employee. Please watch this short, informative video to learn more.
Have you ever had an idea that you feel would benefit the entire Charlotte Christian community? This could be something you're interested in learning more about, or something that you feel would impact future generations of students. Well, guess what? Each time you or your friends have been celebrated on the lower and middle school rock right here, each time you've filled your water bottle at one of these stations, each time you've learned in digital music class, and each time you've joined your fellow students to learn and celebrate our global community, you're utilizing a concept that came from a student just like you. Each of these concepts started as a simple idea and was pitched to our Night Tank panel. Our next Night Tank panel is coming up with proposals due February 28th. So get those ideas ready, because your concept may be closer to reality than you think.
And the winner is Hardy Brock.
Please come to the MK2 broadcast room on the second floor of the middle school building to receive your prize. The answer is baseball team. This week kicks off to the new season with the return of spring training. This month we are celebrating Black History Month. Black History Month was first observed in February 1976. This month celebrates the contributions of African Americans to our society. It also acknowledges the differences they made, even though all the tribulations and prejudices.
In honor of Black History Month, we are going to feature African Americans that impacted our society for the second week. We are featuring Serena Williams. She's a famous tennis player and has won impressive competitions, including 23 Grand Slam single titles. She started playing tennis at the age of 4 and has been phenomenal ever since. She retired from the sport in September of 2022, but her legacy will remain an inspiration. Now please stay tuned for rising 7th and 8th grade elective registration but 8th graders can leave and continue with advisory. But for 6th and 7th graders, please welcome Miss Culberson and Miss Morgan.
All right, good morning, students. We are here this morning to talk to you a little bit about elective registration for your rising 7th and 8th grade year. This will open on Friday, so there's nothing you have to do today, but on Friday, your parents will receive an email with a link to this video as well as our curriculum guide and the registration form. So we wanted to walk you through that this morning. Can go ahead and pull all those down. So in 7th grade, your core classes next year look very similar to what you're taking right now. Of course, you'll have a class in language arts. You'll have one of those 3 math classes, and remember your math class placement is determined based on several things. You want to explain those, Ms. Culberson?
Sure. Remember, you will take a placement test for math. It'll also be based on your ERB scores, your teacher recommendation, and your current math grade. So finish the year strong.
So we'll let you know in April, is that right?
Correct.
What class you have placed into for math. So if you have questions, you can check with your math teacher. And then obviously you'll have a life science class. In 7th grade, you will take Modern World Civilizations, and then, of course, you'll have Bible, which rotates with Life Fitness, as well as the next one, Miss Wilson, which is your world language. So you currently, 6th graders, you are in French, Latin, or Spanish. Next year, you choose to enter into a level 1 language. That means if you're currently in French, we strongly advise you to stay in French. When you take French as a 7th and an 8th grader, those 2 years combine to give you level 1 credit, which means you can go into high school with that credit and start on level 2 as a freshman in high school. If you are in a language right now and it is really not a great fit, you need to come and see us before you make a decision to switch a language going into 7th grade year. This is why. Very similar to, say, if you were in band or orchestra and you played an instrument in 6th grade and you really wanted to switch into a different instrument. It's not impossible, but it probably will require tutoring over the summer. So please come talk to us if you want to switch languages between 6th and 7th grade. You will need to take some tutoring, and that is a test you'll need to take at the end of the summer in order to switch over into a different language. So then you have some choice periods, and that's where you will complete the form on Friday to let us know what you're choosing. So those are in 3 different areas: fine arts, innovation, and in personal skills. So we'll talk to you about that in just a moment. In 8th grade, very similar. Your core periods, language arts, 8th grade, everyone gets that. Math placement into pre-algebra, algebra 1, or geometry based on the same factors that Ms. Culberson just reviewed. Earth Science is your science class. American Civilization with a focus on North Carolina, history in 8th grade. Bible continues to rotate with Life Fitness, and then your world language. This is the second part of your level 1 class. If you are in 7th graders, if you're in Latin, you will need to stay in Latin. If you're in Spanish, stay in Spanish, and same with French. Here is why. if you were to switch a language between 7th and 8th grade, you would no longer be able to receive level 1 credit. So then when you go into upper school, you would have to start back at level 1. So stick with it. When you finish 8th grade, you will have 1 of 3 required levels that you have to graduate with. So you need to stay in the same language. In 8th grade, of course, there are some choice periods, again, in the areas of fine arts, innovation, and personal skills. So your fine arts options, and really they look the same in 7th and 8th grade. That's why they are combined right now. So semester courses that you could take in 7th and 8th grade are acting, creative media, digital music, exploratory art, guitar, and ukulele. Those with an asterisk beside them, that little star, that means that they are courses that cannot be repeated. So if you are a 7th grader and you have already taken creative media, you are not able to take it again in 8th grade. And then our year-long classes, Act 2, that is an audition level course. So you would need to rank that as one of your top options and then also complete the audition packet and participate in that audition. Art 7 or 8, band, choir, MidKnight News, that does require an application as well, and then orchestra. For innovation, our semester courses are 3D solid modeling, coding, that is a new course, design lab, which is a new course, engineering, and intro to architecture. Again, if those have stars beside them, that means you cannot repeat that class between 7th and 8th grade. So a lot of you have in 7th grade, none of you have taken coding. So you can choose to take that in 8th grade. But if you are a 6th grader watching this right now, if you rank coding really high and you take it in 7th grade, you just need to keep in the back of your head that you can't take it again in 8th grade. It's also good to remember if you don't get it as your first option or you aren't able to fit it into your schedule in 7th grade, you could take it in 8th grade. And then our year-long innovation course is Robo Nights, and that is a competition level team. In personal skills, our semester classes are speech and debate. That is a course that you can only take once between 7th and 8th grade. And then, of course, study hall, that is more self-guided when you get into 7th and 8th grade. And then our year-long study hall, that is an option. So you can take study hall your first and second semester, but just keep in mind that's going to reduce the number of other things that you can try. And middle school is all about trying. We have some students who don't take any study halls either semester because they want to take advantage of all of those awesome electives and courses that they could try in middle school. So a few requirements for you as you are ranking your electives and thinking about the ones that you want to take. There is a combination that Ms. Culberson will talk to you about of semester and year-long courses that you can fit together. But one of those courses, whether it's semester or year-long, has to be a fine arts class.
So as you're thinking about starting to register for your classes, as that information comes out to you on Friday, think about putting a puzzle together. I know some of you really enjoy putting puzzles together and some of us may not, but it is like putting a puzzle together. So you have 3 different elective combinations that you can try. So this is the first one. You can choose 2 year-long classes because remember your electives occur on A day or B day. So if you choose 2 year-long classes, you have 2 choices. You can have a year-long on A day and a year-long on B day. So I've given you 2 choices to look at. You might choose band or choir or orchestra, and then you might choose a STEM class like Robo Nights. So that would be 2 year-long electives. Elective combination number 2. You might choose a year-long class on A day and then 2 semester-long classes on B day. So that would give you 3 different electives that you could have throughout the year. So that's another form of the puzzle piece that you could put together where you have 3 different choices and you would have 3 electives. Again, one's a fine arts and then you also have an innovation one and then you have a choice of something else that you could do. Elective combination number 3. You have 4 pieces of the puzzle that you could put together because you're going to do 2 semester classes on A day and 2 semester classes on B day. So then you're able to do that combination all together, that you're able to put 4 there, still keeping your fine arts selection in place so that you're able to do that. So you've got 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring, 1 on A day and 1 on B day, able to put those together so that you're able to have many choices and try different things throughout the year. So that's elective combination number 3. Again, 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, 1 on A day, 1 on B day, giving you those choices of different things that you can try. So don't forget, think about it as putting a puzzle together. You've got things you can try in the fall, things you can try in the spring, whether you're doing year-long or semester-long, A day and B day.
So you might be wondering, how do I register for these courses, or tell us which combinations and which classes you would like to take. So I'm going to ask Ms. Wilson to click on grade 7. They're very similar. So these are the forms that will come to you on Friday and to your parents. So we're just going to take a look at this. This will give you, again, all the combinations at the top, 2 year-long electives, a year-long and 2 semesters, or 4 semesters. So those are all of the options. We're not going to click on it now, but there is a link to our course curriculum guide. What that is a detailed explanation of what every class is. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, we have coding, I've never had that class, you can read about what we would cover there. Or Design Lab, that's a really fun new class. You can read about all the things that you would do in those courses by clicking on that guide. So if you scroll down, you will include an email address. You should probably just put your parents' email there. You'll fill in your first and your last name, and then you'll see where there are some choices. So at the top it says elective course preferences. A minimum of 1 fine arts course must appear in your rankings below. Courses marked with an asterisk may only be taken once over the course of 7th and 8th grade, just like the slides I showed you. So if you were to click on that drop-down box for elective choice 1, you'll see every elective that we have, and you would just put your very favorite top one. This is the one you really, really hope that you get. You would click on that. So let's say, Miss Wilson, pick an elective there. Okay, MidKnight News. Good choice, Miss Wilson. Note that it says application required. It is a year-long course. So those are things to keep in mind. What Miss Wilson would do if you ranked that as your top choice, or even your second or third choice, then Miss Wilson will email you specifically in Canvas with a link to complete the application. So you don't have to do anything other than say that's what you want. And then you would go down and choose your second choice. And since Miss Wilson picked an innovation class for her top, for her top one, you would just want to make sure that you're choosing a fine arts as one of your top 3, because that is something that is required. And again, that course curriculum guide tells you exactly what qualifies as a fine arts class, because, for example, digital music, that is a fine arts course. So it would meet the requirement for fine arts, but it also feels like an innovation class. So you would rank 1 through all the way down to elective choice number 8. So you're going to give us your top 8 choices in order of preference. Here's the thing. Sometimes we're not able to get you into your first, second, or third choice. And often this comes along with, let's say you audition and qualify for Act 2. That has to be offered at a very specific time based on Miss Hilton's schedule, because if you recall, Miss Hilton also teaches upper school classes. And if you audition and you try out and make Act 2, you probably want to be in that class. If it's offered at the same time as, say, creative media, and you really wanted to take that class too, then you would have to make a decision. Do you want to stay in Act 2 and not take creative media, for example? At the bottom, there will be some fine arts alternatives that you'll need to include. So you do have to fill in some alternatives in case your first or second fine arts is full. So when you're finished with that, you'll click submit and you are all done. So again, those are preferences that you're giving us. And the reason we need those now before spring break is because we go ahead and start working on schedules right away. And that tells us, based on preferences, when classes need to be, how many sections of a class we should offer, because maybe a lot of students really want to take creative media, then that tells us we need to put more of those classes into that teacher schedule. So there's a lot of factors at play, and that's why it's really, really important you complete this before you go to spring break. So 8th grade, your form will look very, very similar. So if we go to the next slide, let's see a few notes and reminders for them.
So remember, as Ms. Morgan said, you have to take a minimum of one fine arts elective, so don't forget to choose that in those top 8 and then give those 3 alternatives at the bottom of that form. Remember, your elective process is not a first-come, first-served process. So even though the email is coming out on Friday, you're going to have a period of time that you can do it, so you don't have to rush and get it done on Friday. Remember, you're going to choose your top 8, and then we're going to try our best to give you your top choices. And remember, the courses that are marked with an asterisk can only be taken once over the course of 7th and 8th grade. So if you are a current 7th grader and you've already taken some of those classes that are in the elective drop-downs, please do not sign up for them again, because we will go, you can't do it. Sorry, you've got to pick something else.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's all. Oh, a couple more things. Sorry. Again, final determination really depends on a lot of things. When the classes are offered that you want to take, if we're able to fit those into your schedule and the teacher's schedule. And if we have a case where a lot of students want to take a class, then we'll either leave it to a random lottery, or let's say, for example, coding. That is a new class that's being offered, same with Design Lab. And so a lot of our 7th graders haven't had the chance to take that in 7th grade. So we may give priority to our rising 8th graders for some of those classes, knowing that 6th graders, if you don't get it in 7th grade, you can always take it in 8th grade. So those would be the 2 different ways, if we have a lot of students signing up for a class, how we would make those decisions. So again, on Friday, that's the 23rd, all of this information will come to you. We'll include a video recording of this for your parents. We'll have the curriculum guide where you can read about every single class, and we'll have a link to those forms where you just click and open and give us your elective rankings. And then it's due that Friday before spring break. Again, it is not a first come, first serve process. So don't feel like if I don't submit my elective rankings on Friday night, then I'm never going to get into my classes. We do not look at timestamps. As long as you get it in before spring break, that's all that matters. So really take your time and ask us if you've got questions about any of the electives. Go see Ms. Wilson if you have questions about MidKnight News, or go talk to Ms. Green about robotics or engineering, or talk to a fine arts teacher about those classes. So really this time is yours in these next 2 weeks to do some discovering, ask questions, and get those elective rankings in before you go to spring break. We thank you so much for your time this morning. Again, come see us if you have any questions. Y'all have a great day.